Well, welcome to another episode of Rigby's Campfire blog. Hopefully we're not going to be carried away by these midgies here.
We may have to start a campfire.
We may have to start a campfire.
Get them.
I just got back from Zimbabwe where we had Mapani, and even they weren't as bad as this. What an honour it is to be sat here with you, Don, in my beloved England in May, my favourite month of the year, hunting roebucks. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It was just an incredible experience. Across the board.
It's been a really wonderful few days. We've got a lot of stuff in.
A lot going on. Some for me, so many things so unique. When the places we went, the history. When I think of even my gun collection at home and like the British guns that came through the London Proof House, I'm like, wow, we were there doing that. It was awesome.
Fantastic. I mean, but Rigby's, we're all about people, whether it be the guys in the factory, the clients, and we relish the chance to have people spend some time with us to show them what we do, how passionate we are about the brand, and in this case, visiting the Proof House and out here in the English countryside. Chasing roebucks, which we've been doing today, of course.
Yeah, well, that's always the best.
That's
always going to be the best. I mean, that's why we're here. I was literally in the car here texting my son, sending him some pictures of the muntjac and the roe deer. He's like, obviously we were here building the Field Ethos 416, and he's like, you killed a roe deer with a 416? Are you crazy? I was like, so relax. Different tool. You can. I just, it probably wouldn't be my go-to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Field Ethos, which is where do we start with Field Ethos? What a fantastic magazine that you guys have put together. And we are totally in love with it and totally behind it at Rigby's.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it started off a couple friends that, I think they see what's going on in the outdoor space. And, when the hunters are getting apologetic for hunting and everything has to be justified and everyone's pulling punches, that's not what happens at the campfire. So we're trying to just bring back that old school good writing. You can be respectful but still unapologetically masculine, and it's gone really well. We've just had fun. It's actually a niche that probably shouldn't need to be filled, because everyone in hunting is basically looking for that, but no one's catering to it anymore. So we're just having a lot of fun with it, and for us, it's an incredible honor to be a fledgling brand and to work with something like Rigby for 250-year history. It's just it's a perfect meld.
Well, it's very kind of you to say, and I think the reason that Field Ethos and Rigby sit so well together is their authenticity. There is an authenticity and a realness, keeping it real in both of those brands, and it's. I've really enjoyed spending time with you the last few days, talking about what your sort of grand vision is there, and of course, how can Rigby get involved? And
well, we're starting it right now, right, with that with the 416. I mean, to do I don't want to say clearly not a base model rifle for anyone, but certainly for Rigby. But to do something, like a rifle like that, still aspiration for a lot of people, but not out of reach. To do something special is just an incredible honor for us. So I'm very excited about it. Just being able to be there to proof my own gun, help put some of it together. Though it seems like a lot of the work went in for the prior months to that. It was just very exciting.
Yeah, well, the guys were so excited to have you guys over, and I think you're actually the first customer, certainly under my stewardship of the Rigby brand, to come into the factory and work on your own rifles. And we were very excited to have you there. You say the 416 Rigby, if I can use the name, I know it's supposed to be top secret at the moment, but the Rigby Field Ethos Rogue model.
Yes.
And maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're trying to do, that, again, something that's very aspirational. Obviously, anything with Rigby, that's going to be the case, but also a workhorse rifle, a rifle. Not that even the best models aren't, they're not designed to be babies. They are designed to be used, but something that anyone would just take into the field for anything, and I think it's just an awesome, really a workhorse rifle, but a workhorse rifle that has really a generational component to that. The things that we do at Field Ethos, I mean, we turn down advertisers because it's some garbage trinket made in China that, that's not what we're looking to do. It's that that thing that you can use for a lifetime and hand it down for your children and grandchildren for them to get a lifetime out of use. And, heirloom quality, type of stuff that we're working on, doing, and that we produce and do the sort of limited runs with awesome brands. It's just such a part of what we're trying to do and really create that avenue for people to discover those things that they don't already know. Again, for that sort of unapologetically masculine brand, I think almost 35% of our readership is female.
Wow.
Which is unheard of. And because, shockingly, females like real men. Like, I know it's controversial, highly controversial. It hasn't, this has not been, borne out throughout the history of mankind. Mm. But, in the last few years, it seems like, the world's a little bit upside down. And so we're bringing back real. And, like I said, there shouldn't have to be a market for it, but there desperately is. And the brand is taking off because of it.
So yeah, the Field Ethos Rogue Rigby rifle, mm-hmm. and be interesting to see the response to something like this. Rigby hasn't really partnered with many people and other brands through the age. I mean, of course, the most notable would be Mauser. Yeah. So this is quite a moment, for something like this to happen. Very historic.
I mean, for us especially, like I said, it's that's a really big deal, right? It's we've been around since 2020. I think it was an idea in a text chain. A couple of guys, a lot of different walks of life, a former game warden, myself, a professional football player, captain of an American football team. American football, not the
rugby with pads.
A Navy SEAL sniper, and it was all these guys. Literally, it was like talking on a text chain, and was like sort of making fun of like what happened to like hunting publications and what happened to good writing. If I read another article, 12,000 ways to catch spring bass, it's like. It's been done. So to bring back those stories, we even have some legacy writers that sort of have gotten caught up in that world that write for us under alias names because, they can't do that because they'd be, in trouble with the people that they're doing it. And it's just the self-deprecating story, the funny story that, not of this legendary hunter, but of the guy that, let's just say had the runs on a hunt. And it's like the story's so good. And even for those guys, in talking to him afterwards, like, I can't write that article. I'm XYZ person. And it's like, okay, then we're not interested. And then he does. I had so much fun writing that article. It was so much better that, just because it isn't the same type of material rehashed. Half the people that write for the journal literally are people that just have a great story about the outdoors and bringing that experience to you. And then we'll even have to work with them and an editor to get it cleaned up. But it's really about the storytelling as well.
No, it's so interesting in life how often people... we all dedicate so much time pretending to be ourselves. They're kind of like acting out ourselves rather than just being in the moment and being who we really are.
Correct.
And I think, our Campfire blog and the Campfire podcast, it's a place where we really want people to come together and talk about the way that you are with Field Ethos, hunting as it really is, and let that passion come through.
Well, that's what, those are, the campfire is sort of the great equalizer. Around a campfire in camp, it doesn't matter what's in your wallet, doesn't matter what's in there. Like everyone's sort of the same, and it's actually a great escape from so much of the nonsense, of the world. I think those were some of the greatest stories, the greatest friendships of my life were made around those kind of moments, and that's what we're trying to relive in sort of magazine form.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and it's human beings. We talked earlier today about the fundamental human right of hunting, and human beings, since we were, whatever you may believe in the past, for millennia, we have sat around campfires together, sharing stories, sharing hunting lies, frankly.
It was this big.
It was this big. I think there is something about fire and man and being under the stars and hunting, and it's like it's in your DNA, man. It's like it's in our bones.
100%. That's just what it is, and bringing that out. It's like the first time you sort of wake up in Africa, you're like, oh, I understand how life started here. It's just you get it, right? It's just it's there. So it's that experience, and for me, trying to in a crazy world, and to be able to pass that tradition down onto my children, and act as a mentor to bring other people in, create something that that is welcoming to people on the outside who want to give hunting a go, or shooting. And for Field Ethos, it started off more hunting. It's really sort of evolved into adventure lifestyle, hunting being sort of one of the ultimate adventures, the great way to see the world. You don't just go to, the city, but, I go to Mongolia, often sheep hunting and whatever, is, they'll go live in a yurt with actual nomads for a week, or 2 weeks. It's a whole different experience than going to Ulaanbaatar where people are driving around in G-Wagons. Like, it's not the same. So, for me, the way to see a country, to experience a culture, is actually to immerse yourself in it that way, and through hunting, through fishing, through outdoorsmanship and all of that. And it's been a good way to do it.
Well, we're here in Oxfordshire, which is in the heart of England. This is my favourite time of the year. There's many things I'm passionate about. Africa, of course, Scotland, but very close to my heart is hunting these roebucks here at this time of the year. And I'm actually filming this in black and white usually for our podcast. Maybe the guys will be able to switch over to colour for a moment to show you the sea.
Yeah, we're
It's absolutely beautiful in here.
These bluebells were spectacular. I mean, we've seen patches. I mean, the patch goes on 200 meters down that way. It's just so spectacular. The scenery, and honestly, a lot of that's some of it's what about. I've ruined many a good hunt by pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Right. Not that I missed or not that I wounded anything, but just it's like that moment. With all of this around it, and then the real work actually begins. And so. To be able to experience that, to do the stalking we've been able to do, and we've done some walking, and just what a great day! Such pristine natural beauty, and honestly, the role of the hunter to conserve all of that, to make sure that it exists for the future.
Exactly.
Because I think a lot of that is under threat. One of the roe deer we shot today was not particularly what we'd call trophy quality that you'd go for, but broken leg, wounded, was literally virtually, starting to rot in his own body, and to be able to put that out humanely, understanding that that's going to go to the foxes and the vultures and everything else that's around it. Nothing in nature goes to waste.
Yeah. Now, my 6-year-old daughter, she's mad keen being out with her dad, out hunting and guns, and she asked me something the other day. It's amazing how kids view the world, and she said, "Daddy, you say that you love roe deer, but you also hunt them. So how does that kind of work?" And I said, well, I think if you actually look at it, the people who don't hunt for various reasons and the people who do hunt, they actually want the same thing. We want to preserve, conserve, and protect these amazing wild spaces for our children, our grandchildren, for the betterment of the species that are there. We don't want to shoot every roe deer on this place. We want to be taking out the old, the sick, the wounded, and the surplus. And of course, that amazing venison, which is just such a fantastic natural source of protein, and that goes into the food chain, and it's fully utilized. And it's
well, that, by the way, that was with Mike Robinson when you had him come in and cook for us. Even when we went to his restaurant the first night we were here, then he cooked for us the next night. Muntjac and roe deer. I mean, legitimately some of the best game meal I've ever had. It was just absolutely spectacular. And watching someone do that on a level like that, and even have it be commercial, and encourage that, but again, bring other people who may not look at hunting, or they look at hunting through the lens of the way the media portrays it, which is not even remotely accurate, but that doesn't matter. You still have to deal with that. It's great to see that. So it's awesome to be able to eat what he was making, eat that wild game, but also see someone who's making a difference in what is, oftentimes a controversial thing that a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable just talking about. And so we need more of those people being willing to step up, to speak out, to talk about the actual facts of what hunters do as conservationists. I mean, if it wasn't for hunters, Africa would be decimated in terms of wildlife. There'd be nothing left. And, that's won't be a popular statement with a lot of people, but that's the reality on the ground.
No, absolutely. Mike is just a fantastic showman. He's so passionate about wild deer, and he does so very much for, stalking as an activity. And he was telling us about some of the other very well regarded and known celebrity chefs, trying to get them on board to eat more, to demonstrate eating more wild game. I'm not sure we're going to need to eat dinner tonight. The amount of midges that I'm eating right now, I don't know if this is coming out on camera, but this
I need an air filter.
Yeah, absolutely. I've stalked my whole life. I have never known midges as bad as this. It must be from
this was like Yukon spring. Summer where just
you can feel yourself just being sort of carried away by them at the moment. But Don, I'd be interested to hear what you think about the rifle, the Highland Stalker there, the 275 that we brought out today. And
I've been really impressed. I mean, again, it was sort of interesting. most of my time lately has been spent around either, high-end shotguns, but more Clay's type guns, or but in the rifles, it's been sort of precision long range. I've gone way down the rabbit hole for the last few decades on that, but being able to do this traditional sport roe deer, and like we're at London Proof House, 1637, and I'm like, to go to just a handmade gun, proper, beautiful wood, just honestly, it made the whole thing so much more. I mean, this is the way this is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Now if I'm on a sheep hunt, I'm traveling halfway across the world, and longer range. Maybe that's different, but yeah, I think this tool would be totally capable of doing that as well.
Yeah.
But in these woods, in this setting for roe deer, it was perfect. I mean, we've done pretty well, and
we've done pretty well,
shooting really well, and if I do my part, it's certainly going to do its. And so just the craftsmanship is incredible. I love the history of it. Rigby, especially as a rifle maker, so much so, and I love that it's getting to a point where again, it is still aspirational, but not out of reach for a lot of people. And to bring them into that history, just like you have to bring them into hunting and conservation and other things. I think it's amazing. I love that you guys are doing something like that as a brand, and not just trying to say, well, I'm only going to make a $250,000 gun that's no one else could actually. I think that's important, carrying on that tradition, like create the thing that is that next step for someone.
Yeah.
Or something they may save even years for, but it is that dream where some of the best made guns that you're doing could be out of reach for a long time.
You shot that 275 so well today. I've been very impressed. I'm saying that's not to flatter you. You have shot very, very well.
4 shots, 4 kills. We're doing pretty good.
We're doing pretty good. We're pretty good. And again, to take that management buck earlier that was wounded, that's exactly why we're here. That's this is our number one task on compassionate grounds, hunting those beasts. But it's I think the Highland Stalker, the big game, these. I really hate that term entry level because they're not entry.
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
It'd
be entry level into the world of fine guns, right?
Exactly. But I do believe, and I've said this so many times before, that brands like Rigby, and it's not a brand, it's a history, it's a tradition, it's a legacy, and it belongs to all of us who are passionate about hunting. And that's the other thing I would say, Don. Again, not to just to flatter you, but I've been really taken aback the last few days of just how passionate you are about conservation, history, people, and doing it right. And we've met a couple of times before at the shows, and we at Rigby's we always, I don't know what the term would be, play the man, not the ball, or whatever that sporting term is, but we just treat everyone as they are, and coming to visit us. And I've been really taken aback by your passion. I really, really mean that.
Well, I think for me, it's the outdoors, the hunting, the shooting, the fishing, the discipline of all the sort of outdoor things. For me, having led a pretty chaotic life, I think that was always a grounding element. I'm not saying I was an angel, but it kept me out of a lot of other trouble I would have gotten myself into. And so, to preserve that tradition, the patience, perseverance, discipline that goes into all of that, that doesn't exist that much in our, let's call it, instant gratification society today.
Yeah.
Is so important. So for me, if I can get my kids off their couch and into the woods, or onto a stream, or onto the range, or whatever it may be, any of those things, I think you're doing them a great favor, setting them up for the future, and again, preserving, one of the great traditions of mankind.
As I was saying before, it's all about that legacy, and it belongs to all of us. And I from the very beginning, I felt myself to be a steward or a custodian of Rigby's until it's the next person's turn to carry it forwards, and that it belongs to all of us, and it should be as best we can be available to everyone. Whether you're a 10-year-old boy and you walk on the booth at Safari Club and you buy a hat, or we often give them out to those youngsters, or whether you're buying a $250,000 gun and everything else in between, like you are part of. You're not just part of the company, you are the company.
Part of that tradition.
If you take the people out, you've got nothing. I mean, I said it in the speech yesterday, at the Proof House, that, these amazing British brands, we had at the London Proof House 1,639 years of gun-making history in that room. The Gunmakers Livery Company, which oversees the Proof House, Holland & Holland, Purdy's, Boss, Wesley Richards, Rigby's, Galleon, all around the table there. And, these names, they are not they're not sort of bronze items on a mantelpiece somewhere. They are amazing ideas which are manifested into being by incredible human beings.
Yeah.
And it's a shared idea. And whether you're buying that ball cap or buying a Highland Stalker or a Rising Bite, you're part of that legacy.
Well, it was cool. For me, it was watching the team that you've put together, in the shop and working on that, and doing it the old-fashioned way. I mean, watching them, smoking out the side of a piece of metal to get the fitting exactly right, and then shaving, 10,000ths off of, a small part going into a gun. It's just, it's a legacy of craftsmanship, I think, as well. It's, both craftsmanship as well as art, and seeing that, not just be produced on a CNC machine or something like that. It's just, it's very cool. It's a foundation for all of the things that we've built as a species, and just to see that old world craftsmanship still exist, to see that pride, in that art is just absolutely spectacular. I think, I don't think you don't have to be a gun guy or a shooter or hunter to appreciate that, because it's just a foundation of excellence.
Well, a lot of those technologies and techniques haven't changed in 2 or 3 centuries, and John Rigby and some of the other names I mentioned before, they were visionary guys. They were trying new things, and we use a blend of those old skills, and we use some modern machines, and we get this incredible fusion which enables us to produce guns like the rifle you have in your hand there. And you mentioned before about those hand skills. I think next year, I've been in the gun trade for 20 years, which sounds like a lot, but actually then I compare it to the likes of Paul Roberts and these other guys who've been doing it for 60 years. Maybe I'm just coming out of the sort of apprentice phase. But even now, after 20 years, I'll find myself in the factory and realize I've been there for 20 minutes watching someone checkering a stock. It's almost sort of therapeutic watching these guys working and their level of patience. You have to be a very special kind of human being to be able to do
I'm watching those engravers. I'm like,
yeah.
all day, every day, working on a piece of metal this big, but turning out something that's absolutely spectacular that couldn't be duplicated any other way. That was amazing.
Well, I think we should probably wind things up, because I don't know about you, I am being eaten alive right now by these midges.
I think we could probably talk for 2 or 3 hours, but we may not have any blood left in our bodies.
We may not have any blood left, and we've got to catch up with our guide Alex and get back to Silver, because eventually,
go find the big boy.
For everyone back home, we have we've interrupted our hunt this evening to be able to get into this amazing place and have this chat. So, Don, I just want to say from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking the time to come and spend a few days with us in our beloved England here. And looking forward to the next step with Field Ethos.
Thank you very much, Marc. It was an honor.
Thank you.